It's time for me to make this video before I keep putting it off. I keep getting a question asked, how do I play Counter-Strike on my controller here? I mostly play using my hand movement, using gyro aim and flickstick with my right stick. Other button binds I will go over, but generally it's just an all-in-one keyboard and mouse. Let's get into the meat and bones, starting with PS5 controller. This is the default layout for Counter-Strike 2. Pretty standard. You got your jump key, use key, reload, flashlight. I don't know why there's no flashlight. You can edit the layout here. If you want to jump with X, you can make it the scroll wheel. Other things, you can add commands, extra commands. So like, let's say you needed a drop key, but you don't want both these buttons to activate at the same time. So you can switch it over to double press. So when you double press, it'll drop. We'll make this our knife button, which is usually standard for me. Reload, obviously, is also standard square. So let's add an extra command. And I like to have it on my E key as well, except I like to leave it on long press. That way I can pick up weapons or defuse a bomb if I need to. Make sure the long press activates sooner than later, just in case I need those extra milliseconds. Also, we're going to need another command, which is 4, so we could pull out the bomb and we can keep those the same. These ones don't really interfere with each other. There is no flashlight, so we'll keep that on 1. You can even rename the command to guns. As you can see, it's totally customizable to your preferences. You can add a command here, so I like to have both guns. You can even have it cycle through if you really would like to. So you got 1 and 2, or you could have a double press. Might be more handier for you. So let's delete the sub command, add an extra command to 2, make it a double press. That way when I double press, it'll pull out my pistol. I won't accidentally pull up my primary. Moving on. We do not want these on the scroll wheel. Personally I like to have my shooting button on a button where I'm not making too much movement. So one that instantly clicks, so I like to keep it on the right bumper. So mouse click to left bumper or right bumper. Left bumper I like to keep on my walk key, and I'll demonstrate how I do it on my other controller, but for now this would be how I would do it on this controller. As for the trackpad behavior, I could have it as a scroll wheel. Let's do directional swipe. The right side will make it scroll down. When I move the trackpad, it will scroll the wheel down. Moving on, we got the gyro to mouse aim, which is, let's say, is 90% of the show here. I like to have it hold to enabled. Some people like it toggle when they turn it on or off. Up to you. You can even suppress it, so whenever you press onto the trackpad, it'll stop. Now this setting is something you'd need to work on in a workshop map or maybe just a practice map. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to calculate your full 360 degree to as high a pixel count as you can. So let's start off with max here and see if we get any issues, because sometimes there tends to be issues when it comes to increasing your pixel rate per 360. And the way you're going to want to calculate your thoughts per 360, because it also does affect your joystick. We'll go to joystick here, which will set to flick stick. As you can see, if you slide it here, it'll change it in your gyro settings. So what you're going to want to do is map one button, any button. You're going to want to turn this off when you can, or keep it on, but I personally like to leave it off just so it doesn't look like I'm a spin bot. And we'll hop into the game real quick, where we're going to calibrate 360 degree turn with your sensitivity. So this requires a little bit of tweaking around, and sometimes the mouse likes to fly off the screen and you can't control your character anymore. So I like to see as far as I can go without any issues. And as you can see, I can control the gyro, and it looks wonky. I know people, when they first start this, they're like, wow, I can't believe someone can play with this. But this is where it requires a lot of tweaking around and figuring out what works for you. This may look awful right now, but once we get all the settings worked out, we'll start having a good time. So let's go into a fresh target here. I know it's hard to control right now, but I can't go all the way in a full 360 degree, and that's where you'd want to mess with your sense here in game. Now it's important to note that if your cursor flies off the screen, then you're going to want to lower your dots per 360, and you're going to want to control the mouse sensitivity slider here, right? Now that's a little too much. Let's do 6.4. All right, and it's just right next to it, just a little bit above. So that's where we go into our controller settings here, and we lower it just a little bit. Let's say you want to max it out. It looks like 5.2, and then we got to control the amount of pixels there are actually back here on the controller. I know it looks like it's hard to control, like I said. For the pixel count, I keep it at 31,469. And gyro sense is totally up to you on how you feel. You can increase it or lower it if you want. Acceleration. Now, to me, I like to have it on a low sense and aggressive acceleration. So, like I said, it's all preference at the end of the day. For me, I like to have vertical output less than my horizontal output. So keep it like that. Gyro, speed, dead zone. This helps combat screen shake. So if you got shaky hands when you're moving around, it's best to increase this. Try not to do too much, just so you can get more of a hand feel instead of your input being blocked by this dead zone here. Precision speed, so it reduces your cursor speed if you're below this amount of speed. So if you were to set it all the way to max, you're going less, your cursor slows down a lot. So I like to keep this on a lower output just so I can aim, but if you really want to be able to hit those shots from far away, then it is best to mess with this, see what works for you. The default is 0.75, so maybe something like 2 degrees per second. That way, if I'm trying to aim at someone far away and they're holding still, I don't miss that opportunity because I'm making too much micro movement. Now, this is the meat and bones of your gyro movement, and I like to keep mine at player space. The movement threshold, if you were to increase it, kind of skips your cursor around. So if you were to set this to 1 or 2, it's not as much. If you feel like there's too much micromanaging in your movement, then you could increase this as it goes, but I would recommend not going higher than 3 just because you'll get some skipping of the cursor. Really up to you. You can control by tapping here. I can jump by scrolling. I think that's how iHeartScope does it. And I haven't used the PS5 controller. In reality, I haven't even played a single game. I wouldn't know how well it compares to my current controller, but another feature, before I forget, is the flick stick. So whenever you press the stick in either direction, or you can go full circle, just this joystick. Click on this cogwheel here. Let's turn off the 360 degrees. And you got things like flick sweep sensitivity. I generally don't like it snapping forward unless it's more than a certain degrees, but you can make this as instant as you want. If you want it even faster, you make it as high as possible. It essentially flick like you're insane. I like to keep it about 70-70 so it doesn't look too sus. Moving on to my controller here, we got the 8-bit Dell Ultimate 2 with TMR switches. I put some joystick caps on them. This is the Honkai Star Rail Edition. Goes for $70 USD. This is the base one. Goes for $60 USD. Comes with a dock, a charging dock, and a dongle. These ones have 1,000 hertz polling rate, so pick and choose wisely. Something you do need to note is the firmware in these controllers do need to be updated in order for you to be able to use a gyro support. There's other controllers that also have gyro support, like this one I bought, the FlyDigi Vader 4 Pro. So whenever you turn on your controller, particularly for this one, you got to hold the B button down, make sure it is direct input instead of X input. Here's a view model of my layout and the names of them, what they do. But we'll quickly go over them before this video becomes too long and no one wants to watch it. Go on to edit layout here, starting with the buttons. If I double press A, I can also quickly grab something if I need to, but it mostly just jumps. I have a turbo repeat mode on here so that you can just hold it down. Now, I don't know if Valve has issues with that. They've made it themselves, so I assume it's okay. Change it in the future if something changes my mind about that. Moving on, we got the knife, buy and drop key. Knife is a regular press. You got the buy key. If I hold B, I can remember just because it's a B button. And then if I want to drop, usually it's associated with something B related. So I double press to drop. Sometimes it becomes an issue when I'm trying to spam my knife in my primary and then I accidentally drop it. Might be something to change for the future. I like to keep the E and 4 key long press. Mostly reloads whenever I tap it. Try not to hit it too many times. Like you can have the cycle here if you wanted to cycle commands. Double press if anything. I just like that just in case I do have to pull out a gun. I don't accidentally pull out my secondary first because it's cycling through if I put it on cycle mode. I constantly change these settings as days go on. Crouch key. Now, some people would like to have this on something like right stick or B even. So, like I said, totally up to you, but I like to keep it on a button where I can still press it while I'm moving. Moving on to what I shoot with. If you set this to start press, instead of full hold down, as you can see on my mouse, taps it, whereas if I were to press on my right trigger, which I set also to shoot, it'll hold it down. I get an easy tap, you know, instead of having to tap my fingers. I can still hold the gyro aim down when I'm trying to tap them in the face, you know. All right, next tab we have is the D-pad, which is what I mapped on my util to. Now, you can set these buttons to whatever you want in game. I like to set them to keys where I normally would press them on my mouse. So you get your flash, your smoke, your molly, and then your nade. This is how I set it up on my keyboard. So your bindings might be different for you for the D-pad if you want to set it up that way. Right trigger, soft pull. So although I'm not sure if I want to set it to full pull. Something I never really will see how that one changes things. And of course, you got the left joystick that controls WASD. I can slow walk by clicking my left stick. I got two ways to walk. One is this small button up here, L4. It also pings when I double tap it. So, and I set it to my space key. Normally I don't ping with my space key, but just for a visual for my stream, which I stream to every night, I'm trying to fix up my schedule. So we'll see when my streaming schedule changes. Model. There you go. So when I tap both sticks, it'll swap my sides, which shouldn't matter to most people, but that's something you can add on to. So if you wanted a way to tap two buttons so that it presses one button, you can add a button cord here. So you got button cord, and you go into your settings and then click on whatever other button you'd want to press at the same time. Like let's say you wanted to make it a spray. Other things, we got push to talk, which I have two back pedals. So the left pedal I map to push to talk. I don't add a command to the right pedal because that's what I use for my gyro. We got our flick stick here, which this is how it's set for me. Not too much difference from the default. Whether or not these settings are good, I have no idea. They work for me in the sense that I like to use them. I could probably fine tune them more to my liking and possibly get more kills that way, but not today. Here's my gyro controls. Probably the most important thing. Like I said, I like to keep it on activate whenever I press it, moving the cursor. I have my sense pretty low on an aggressive acceleration. Control micro movement from far away distances. A little better. Everything here is just about the same as the PS5 controller. So something I do like to do here and there is calibrate the controller. So you'd want to set this on the table and hit the calibrate button. It detects all the noise levels and it fixes it for you. So you'll notice if there's drift. So once you calibrate it, it usually fixes it. And here are my in-game settings. One to know includes player ping, but the one that no one else uses is radio weapon menu, which is easy for me to pull out a weapon if I hold Y. That should be the end of this video, I believe. If it helped you out, please leave a like. If you found this interesting, I stream to my Twitch and YouTube here and there. I play this game for fun. I I do have a rank here that I like to work on, but it's mostly having fun with friends and possibly solo queuing with people that are pretty cool, trying to generate clips from funny moments and perhaps some skill on a controller. So if you're interested, you can follow my socials too, and catch you on the next one.